Russell Martin's job is hanging by a thread. Jose Mourinho is being lined up as his replacement. Nico Raskin could be gone before the window slams shut. Bojan Miovski has completed his medical and is racing the clock to be registered in time for Celtic. Will he make it onto the pitch or miss the biggest match of the year? Rangers close to signing athletic £3.4 million star Kieran Bowie, touted for Rangers transfer if key hurdle can be cleared, and with West Ham and others circling, the board may be forced into a £20 million decision. Strap in. This is no ordinary transfer update. This is Rangers on the brink. Rangers could be set to bin off Nasser Giga and bring in a new defensive rock, because after that utter shambles against Club Brugge, something's got to give. A 6-0 battering on the night, 9-1 on aggregate, and you're sitting there wondering if that was really the mighty Rangers or a pub team on a Wednesday night in the pouring rain. That was the heaviest two-legged defeat in Europe in 65 years. 65 years. Embarrassing doesn't even begin to cover it. Russell Martin is now under serious pressure. A lot of you have had enough already, and that was only his 10th game in charge. But with the board still backing him for now, could a new centre-half be the first step toward fixing this defensive disaster? Step forward, Derek Cornelius. The Canadian international looks set to join Rangers from Marseille on loan, with an option to buy for around €4 million, roughly £3.4 million. Athletic, strong in the air, and battle-tested in League One, he's being touted as a proper upgrade over Giga, who's looked more shaky than a Doug dancing at a wedding. Let's be honest, Giga's been a walking red flag, literally sent off against Dundee and nowhere near good enough against Brugge. And now with Cornelius arriving, the Wolves loanee could find himself warming the bench faster than you can say Celtic bottle Europe every year. Cornelius, at 27, has been around the block. Germany, Serbia, MLS, Greece, Sweden, France. The man's passport is busier than a Glaswegian chipper after closing time, and he's not just travelled, he's performed. Last season in League One, he made 21 appearances, 17 of those as a starter, and his stats leave Giga in the dust. Better pass completion, more duels won, better in the air, fewer errors. He even loses the ball less. And this isn't just another random signing. This is a lad with 35 caps for Canada, a Copa America semi-finalist, and he's gearing up for a World Cup on home soil next summer. He'll be arriving at Ibrox with something to prove, and with Jesse Marsh watching, Cornelius will be fired up from day one. But here's the real question you need to ask yourself. If Russell Martin is so quick to bin Giga after a couple of stinkers, should he be judged by the same standard? After that European embarrassment, should he be the next one shown the door? Chris Boyd's beating the drum again, and this time he's calling on Rangers to make a bold move for young Scotland striker Kieran Bowie. Now, before you say who, let's be clear, this isn't a name plucked out of thin air. The lad's lighting it up for Hibs, only 22, and showing exactly the kind of energy and hunger our front line's been missing. And in a window where we've been linked to more forwards than a Scotland call-up sheet, this one actually makes sense, Boyd's argument. Simple. Rangers haven't been signing enough Scottish talent, and he's spot on. For years now, the club's been loading up on projects and punts from abroad while ignoring homegrown potential. You've seen it. I've seen it. It's about time we got back to blooding players who know what it means to play in this league, in this city, with this pressure. But here's the rub. Price. Hibs aren't skint, and they've got no reason to cash in unless the number is right. And with Bowie storming start to the season, you can be sure they'll slap a price tag on him big enough to make you spit out your bovril. But isn't it mad that we're quibbling over a few million when we've spent twice that on strikers who can't even trap a bag of cement? Now, there's a subplot bubbling under the surface as Cyril Dessers is attracting interest, and let's be honest, there are many of you who wouldn't shed a tear if he was shipped out tomorrow. If he goes, Russell Martin needs a replacement sharpish. And Bowie? Well, he ticks all the boxes. Young, Scottish, hungry, and already showing he can handle the physicality of the Premiership. But that leads us to the bigger storm cloud hanging over Ibrox right now. Russell Martin himself. The pressure's reaching boiling point. Crashed out of Europe. Questions flying in from all angles, and now the Celtic match looms large like the Grim Reaper. With a green tie, 9 points behind by the end of August. That's not a gap. That's a canyon. Boyd's right again. Rangers simply must get a result this weekend. There's no room for a decent performance or taking the positives. It's win or the banners will be flying and the boos will be deafening, because if you lose at Ibrox to a Celtic side that's just as wounded, the conversation changes. You're no longer building something, you're just surviving. Nico Raskin, once a fan favorite, now a man on the fringes, watching the Ibrox drama unfold from the shadows as Russell Martin prepares for his make-or-break Old Firm showdown. And now, with Premier League clubs circling like sharks around a wounded seal, you have to ask, has the bridge been burned beyond repair? West Ham are the latest club to register serious interest in the Belgian midfielder, with reports claiming they're ready to test Rangers' resolve before the window slams shut on Monday night, and the number being thrown about, up to £20 million. That's no chump change. Not for a player who cost a fraction of that from Standard Liège just over a year ago. But here's the kicker. Despite Raskin's solid numbers last season, 16 goal contributions in 48 appearances, he's barely featured under Martin this campaign. He was dropped completely for the second leg humiliation against Club Brugge, and now he's been axed for the derby against Celtic. Not rested, not rotated, axed. And the reasons? Oh, it's spicy. Reports say senior players and staff backed Martin's call after Raskin's old man had a go at the manager on social media following the Brugge collapse. It's playground stuff, but clearly the tension's real. One of our most gifted midfielders frozen out in a time of crisis, while the team looks like it's been stapled together 5 minutes before kickoff. Meanwhile, Belgian boss Rudy Garcia is backing Raskin to the hilt. He's been named in their latest squad and tipped to play a big role in upcoming World Cup qualifiers. Garcia sees his value, he sees his quality. The real question is, why doesn't Martin? Let's not forget, under previous managers, Raskin was central to everything we did. Quick to win the ball, sharp with his passing, confident driving play forward. He gave us composure in the middle. But Martin's possession-heavy system doesn't seem to fit him, or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe he doesn't fit Martin. Either way, this feels like it's heading for a bitter end. He's already been spotted at the airport. The club's trying to play it down, saying he was picking up family. Maybe he was, or maybe he's just getting a head start on the move. But here's where it gets controversial. If you're offered £20 million, do you cash in on Raskin now, or do you back him, sack Martin, and build the midfield around a player who's already shown he can deliver in a Rangers shirt? Well now, this is where things get tasty. The kind of storyline that feels more like a Netflix special than a typical week in Ibrox. Jose Mourinho has been tipped as the man to rescue Rangers from the absolute circus currently unfolding at Ibrox. So Russell Martin, for all the boardroom backing and managerial lingo, is dangling by a thread. After the 6-0 demolition job by Club Brugge, many of you made your minds up long before a ball is kicked against Celtic, and now a major figure behind the 49ers Enterprises investment, Andy Mason, is going public, not whispering it, not leaking it, flat out telling the club to sack Martin and move heaven and earth to bring in Mourinho. Let's not pretend this is a normal name being thrown in. This is the man who won the Champions League with Porto, bossed Real Madrid, Inter Milan, Chelsea, and famously booted Celtic into second place in a European final. He's available after his Fenerbahce sacking, and he's on record saying he loves the Scottish game, name-dropping the Ibrox atmosphere as one of the most electric he's experienced. And you know what? He's not wrong. Imagine Jose Mourinho walking out of that tunnel at Ibrox, Old Firm, fire in his eyes, snarling at referees and protecting the badge like his life depends on it. You'd feel 10 feet tall just watching it. This isn't a pipe dream. It's not an old headline being recycled. This is one of the key power players behind the scenes, basically begging the board to make a statement that would shake the foundations of Scottish football, because, let's be real, Russell Martin's project isn't just failing, it's falling apart at the seams. The players look lost, the dressing rooms turning toxic, and the supporters are beyond boiling point. Mourinho, even with his baggage, is the type of presence that could galvanize this club overnight. He'd demand respect, he'd demand performances, and he'd make sure not one of those players hid the next time they walked onto that pitch. But here's where it gets controversial, because if you bring in Jose Mourinho, you're not just hiring a manager. You're changing the entire culture of the club. You're giving him power. You're giving him money. You're giving him the spotlight. And the question is, are the board brave enough to let Mourinho be Mourinho at Rangers? So here's your fire starter. Should Rangers sack Russell Martin before the Old Firm clash and hand the keys to Jose Mourinho now, no matter the cost? It's squeaky bum time at Ibrox, and no mistake, Bojan Miovski has completed his medical. The paperwork's bubbling away in the Comet system, and yet here we are, still waiting, still wondering if he'll be wearing royal blue on Sunday for the Old Firm. This one's been brewing fast. Rangers have agreed a deal worth up to £4.2 million for the North Macedonian striker, and let's be honest, we need him. Cyril Dessers has been about as effective as a wet sponge in a fire. We've been crying out for someone clinical, someone direct, someone who doesn't need 15 chances before he finally finds the net. Miovski certainly fits the bill on paper. 26 goals in all competitions during his final season at Aberdeen, a PFA Scotland Team of the Year pick, and a constant menace against defences up here. He knows this league. He's done the business before, but here's the twist. Since his move to Girona, he's fallen off a cliff. The numbers from Spain are bleak. Non-penalty goals per 90 minutes, 0.15 passing stats, shaky, shot-creating actions rare, progressive carries almost non-existent. Whether it was the style of play, the system, or simply a move too far too soon, Miovski's stint in La Liga has been nothing short of a disaster, and that's where the gamble lies. You're paying top dollar for a player who was brilliant in Scotland, but might take weeks, if not months, to find that same rhythm again. Can Russell Martin, who's already dangling by a thread, afford to wait? Can Rangers afford to carry another misfiring striker in the middle of what's quickly becoming a full-blown crisis? Still, the fact the medical's done and the registration process is already underway shows how desperate the club is to have him available for Celtic. His name's in the system. It just needs to tick from entered to registered before he's cleared to play. And believe me, they'll be glued to that Comet system harder than you're glued to the telly on Derby Day. Now, here's the head-scratcher. If Miovski's not registered in time, do you start Dessers yet again in the most important match of the season? Or would you rather see the club throw someone else, anyone else, into the fire to avoid another no-show up top?